Welcome. I am Kai, Crafty Kai, and I am excited to introduce another video in my Feline Familiars series, which I will be hosting throughout the month of September, leading to my Etsy shop launch. And I'm really excited about, I'm actually excited. I'm excited for everything that I'm making. um, and doing these digital art prints. And this one, I am going with the Green Witch, the Green Witches Feline Familiar. And if you're not familiar with the Green Witch, how I would describe a Green Witch is someone who is really inspired by nature and wants to be surrounded in everything like the woods, the animals, and usually I would say kind of like a loner type who likes to wander, and forage on their own for all the edible mushrooms and different herbs, flowers, different bits and pieces that they may take with exchange from what nature offers and create their own tonics and teas for health and prosperity, and helping others. So I really liked the Green Witch's ideology, and so I really had this familiar's background. I really wanted to emphasize that it's going to be in the forest and it's going to be surrounded in the woods in nature. And that's where I had picked up all of these different inspiration, how like the hidden mysteries that you may discover. And sometimes it's man-made, sometimes nature-made. And so that's where I got picked the influence for like the illustration. I went for an illustration style, similar to the Crystal Witches Feline Familiar, which I haven't found a name for either of my Crystal Witch or Cosmic Witch, and I forgot to ask this because I decided to put them together into one video, and it was just so quick that I didn't really get a chance to kind of talk about, you know, what would be their background story and character story. I maybe touched on it a little bit, but this time I really want to take my time on one specific uh, familiar. And yeah, so I don't know if you have any suggestions for the Crystal or Cosmic Witch's familiar name, because I didn't think about it. I kept just referring it to like, this is the feline familiar, and what would be a name that would be kind of like a Crystal Witch vibe or a Cosmic Witch vibe? So let me know down below. I would love to hear that. But so yeah, I wanted to get the whimsy and abundance that you see in the Studio Ghibli style illustration when there's like the cottage, the flowers, and like all of this greenery, just like explosion of life and vitality. And as like a green witch, you're going to try to find those things naturally within your long, leisure routes sometimes as you go exploring into the forest. So yeah, that's kind of where I went with trying to find inspirations for the background to really help tell the story of the Green Witches familiar. I kind of have an idea of what I would name it, but I mean, I'll stick to the end and ask that question because you'll see as I slowly go and progress throughout this video how uh, this cat came to be and what I inspired to make the color of the cat and everything were fully formed as the image. It's really like telling a story to me because I was really building it from the background up. And I really enjoy the whole process of drawing the backgrounds. One, it allows me to doodle like different ideas, like how do I create that? And so I try my hand at it because this is it's a new medium in some way, and so I'm still figuring out. Like I use Krita as my software because I mean, I learned all through YouTube, and so it's been fun trying to figure out what tools do I use. Fun but frustrating at sometimes. Um, But yeah, so I'm going to take you along of this video. Again, I'm going to do my little bubble person, my little circular corner up in the corner, and just kind of walk through it. But yeah, so I started with pulling all together my inspiration images, which I found this really pretty artist print. I don't have the name of the artist, but on Instagram, where it kind of reminded me of Group of Seven. I don't know why, maybe because of the different, it honestly looks like lines of different colors to make everything like how the sun hits the tree and then the waterscape. I thought that was just really pretty. And of course I have my green witch, which I really think it kind of reminds me of Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. So that's kind of what then kicked off this influence that it's kind of reminded me of the story of Lord of the Rings, like the forest and everything. I got to that point. So I'll talk a little later about it. But right now, I am doing my rough initial sketch, which I always re-sketch my scan and retrace it. And that just works for me because, again, pen and paper is where my drawings start. And then all the finessing comes when I put it into Krita. So I chose, as this type of cat for the Green Witch, I chose the Norwegian forest cat. And if you see the picture that I have there, that was my influence pictures, and to grasp like the stance of the cat and the floofiness of the cat. It was also beautifully colored. Like it looked like it had a white beard and then it was like a tawny gray for the body, which was kind of hard to replicate. I struggled a little bit trying to get those right color tones and how to do like fur, like relate fur in an illustration style to get all like the different tones that a tawny Norwegian like tabby cat-esque, it kind of has like the tabby markings. So yeah, I went with that type of cat. Norwegian forest cat is well known for having like that outdoorsy cat. I mean, all cats that people live outdoors, they pretty much love it, but really of like a kind of just out in the wild, discovering on its own, and it kind of suited the story that I was telling with it. And that inspiration picture just automatically, I was like, oh my god, Gandalf the Grey, but also the white beard, perfect. So going back, I started building up my background, and I bounced back and forth, not knowing if I'm like, do I start with my midground? Do I go with my background? Well, let me get some like face framing ideas, and then I'll start to see more and more. And then I added these actually this was a stamp that's included in the Krita paintbrush files or paintbrush sets, was this mountain stamp. I'm like, oh, how cool. I'll put like in part of like one of that inspiration picture, I'll do some mountains. And then having like light come across, like I was trying to get the right lighting and shadowing effect by just having really beams of light, like beams of the sunlight breaking through a forest sometimes is very magical. So I was trying to replicate that. And then I had fun a little bit. I doodled some clouds in the background. I was trying to do like those Japanese style clouds, which initially wasn't working so great. I had to Google up some images and finally figured out like the right technique for it. But I knew like these are going to be hidden anyways, but I'm just having fun with it. I have to always remind myself whenever I do these projects is to have fun with it in some way. And some of that is having fun by either drawing something that might be hidden in the background, may not fully show, but I want full sets of details, and it tells like the story that I wanted to lead. So this is where adding the mountains, I was like, ooh, the mountains of Mordor, and then that forest where Merry and Pippin get caught up, and you know, with the tree ants. I kind of had like this scene in my head that this is where it happened. Specifically that scene where they're already out of, they've been captured, or they were captured by orcs, and then they ran into the forest. Did they beat Saragon? It's been a couple years since I watched it, so I'm off on I might be off on my details, but I recall like you see Gandalf come through and he's like in a robe and he's like got the white beard and he's like, oh my god, Gandalf! Like that was the exact picture in my brain as I was sketching this further and further along. I was like, this is where the scene is at. And so you have a Green Witch in that world. I would imagine so, because there are not just wizards in the world, and there would probably be Green Witches who are helping the common folk with their, ailments and potions and tonics, again, teas and all the things that would help like villagers and stuff like that. I feel like that's a classic, like Green Witch is always, oh, that's the lady witch in the old woods there. Go to her to get what you need to feel better, or get the old wise woman or something like that. Like I kind of get that sense of what we would normally see in classic tales of like a witch who's in the forest. So I was working on the mid-ground section. I had a lot of fun with doing birch trees. They have a really good texture that's easy to replicate, and you kind of get it and you see, oh yeah, that's a birch tree. Slowly building out my mid-ground now is looking back and forth. I'm like, do I want to keep the trees? Do I take the trees away? I kind of like the mountain. The mountain back view is nice. I couldn't decide. I left it with the trees, but I really did like the mountain with like that little lake in the middle. And now I'm like working on this floofy cat and trying to get this witch hat right. That one was a little tricky to get the right shape that I was looking for and then the right colorway. But this little cat is going to be ready for the Green Witch to help the Green Witch collect all of her clippings and stuff. So it has like a little satchel. Like that's the belt across the chest. It's like a little satchel that it would help carry all of the things that are foraged, berries and seeds, whatever you can find that would be droppings and offerings from nature, but also some things would be snipped and you would always offer something in return. So it'll be like sometimes it'd be, oh, your hair is a very significant, usually as an offering. But I think that this Norwegian forest cat would leave like fur everywhere. Just like, here for the birds, make your nest out of like the fur that I have that I shed. So like adding further detail to this cat and try to get that like magnificent floof of a body was a little tricky. And get the color tone and everything like that. I would say this character would have this smirk kind of on its face. I tried to kind of replicate what that proud stance the cat was doing in the inspiration picture, but I got like, as I was sketching this out, it came very much of like an aloof, chill vibe. Like, yeah, what's up? What are you collecting over there? I'm gonna come and help you. And I'm just gonna sit here and watch you perform your rituals as I like look down at you and give me a sense of like, cats have that perfect like, I look down on the witch. What are you trying to do? I definitely got that facial expression of a little bit of a snooty, thinks he knows more. I mean, Gandalf kind of gives that vibe, like, this is a wise wizard and all-knowing. I don't know how old Gandalf is, but yeah, like, this is giving me, this cat gives off Gandalf vibe, so I'm gonna start calling him, maybe I'll call him Gandalf. Gandalf the cat, instead of Gandalf the Grey. We'll have Gandalf the cat. And yeah, no, I've started to kind of build out that witch's hat, try to add some texture, almost like it would be the leather, like a green leathered hat with lots of use of wear. And I mean, you can see by the inspiration picture, I like that big floppy witch's hat. That really reminded me of Gandalf as well, because he has like a huge hat and he's like, hello. And then of course a witch needs a staff, which I almost forgot. Like this green witch would have like a staff, because I mean, trekking through the woods, you need like a stick to help you through it. So that would be the green witch's tool. So this one, I have it like right now in this almost like a still like picture of what in that moment the green witch is probably foraging something right now with Gandalf the cat, just chilling and watching her do her thing. So she propped up her staff on the tree and, you know, leaves it there. Props it up, leaves it there. We're like, nah, I don't need it right away. But I've got Gandalf to watch over it. So he's there, chilling on his rock. And this was kind of a fun one to try to figure out like rock texture, because I've not done any. It was kind of fun to do a bit of like rock texture, and like there's so many different colors in rock tones from just like erosion. So you have like, oh, this is like the one where the sun is and where the shadow is, but also like there's just darker sediments. And so trying to get a rock texture was a little tricky, but I think I kind of got it down. I was working with some of the different blending pens that they have that kind of does lines in it, because I think that would be kind of cool, and so I worked off that. And then one of the other tools that I put in here, witch's tool, is the mortar pestle. Because yeah, foraging seeds and stuff, you're gonna just grind it up already and have it all there. And you may use like, what's this? Someone says they're like little goblins, like they collect maybe the old bones of some of the forest animals. So I have like a bird's head. You may have like crushed up bone in some of these like tonics or potions and stuff. And the last finishing edge is going to add some springs of green and flowers, of course, because with that one cottage inspiration picture where like all of these, I think that was a Studio Ghibli one, but it was like all of these, which it looks like the witch's cottage would be, like the green witch's cottage would be surrounded with flowers, or in the middle of the woods surrounded with flowers. So I put in lavender, like a lavender mix of, that was the base idea, lavender, and then I add some other colors just to have it pop. Because lavender would be used to like soothe as a relaxing ailment. But this is the finished result of Gandalf the cat, the green witch's familiar. I'm gonna go and temporarily call him Gandalf, because he really makes me think of Gandalf the Grey and Gandalf the White, because he did turn all white with the beard and stuff. But I am super happy with how this came out. It really has a storytelling vibe, and I'm just really, I always like it when I get to the finished project. Sometimes I procrastinate, and I'm like, I just have a few more details to do, but I'm like, I hold off, because I'm like, I don't want to just be finished already. And when it gets to this kind of point where after building up all my layers and the story really progresses, then I get close to the end and I'm like, no, I'm not ready for my story to end. But yeah, what do you think of Gandalf the cat? Or do you have a suggestion? What else would you call a green witch's feline familiar? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear it. I would love to, if you have any words of wisdom or kindness, let me know. I would love to hear how if you have any experience with like designing characters and illustrating, like how do you set the storyline? Do you work through the background up to the midground and all through that to really build out your image? Do you do digital art? I don't know. But it was really fun. So that's it for today's video. If you like how this series, please subscribe to my channel, or I also have a email newsletter in my profile. No, In my channel description, you can see a link for an e-newsletter if you want to stay up to date when my shop launches and when this print will be available. I still have to do some actual print copies, but I don't know why this happens all at once. I went to do some test prints, and of course my printer broke. So now I had to invest in a new printer, but it was time. The thing, I'm like, do not go for the Epson 2850 or 20, what is it? ET 2850 from Costco. I do not recommend. It lasted 2 years. And before I was not printing, I was just printing like black and white patterns and stuff. Like, no, it did not last enough. I am so disappointed about that printer. So I'm ordering a new one and I'm waiting for that to come before I can do some test prints. But I will have this ready for my shop launch. The Crafty Kai Wears is my shop, and I have a lot more little things to come. So again, if you want to stay in tune, you can subscribe. There's my Instagram also, or my MailChimp. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. That's it for this one. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.